I'm pretty sure many of you have already watched BTS Carpool Karaoke episode on James Corden's show. It was hilarious, it was so fun, and I made a Korean lesson based on that episode. Before you study with this clip, make sure you first know how the basic sentence structure works in Korean. If you don't yet, it's okay. You can go check out my introduction to Korean grammar lesson in the link above. Okay, so let's get started.
And how did you learn English?
I've taught myself by Friends.
Watching the TV show Friends?
나도 프렌즈 보긴 봤는데.
Yeah.
And I like watched it over
나도 프렌즈 보긴 봤는데.
Yeah.
I like watched it over
나도 프렌즈 보긴 봤는데 난 왜 못할까? So this is what Jin said at the back of the car. And let's break it down one by one. So 나 means I, and 도 is a particle that means to, like as well. So I as well. 프렌즈 is obviously a Korean pronunciation of the TV show Friends. So let's write it like this since it's the name of the TV show. I too, friends. And even though there isn't the object marker 를 here, it's removed. You can know this is the object because this is the noun that comes after the subject. So you can know by context that okay, this is the object, so what is the verb? So this whole thing is a verb. 보긴 봤는데, but this is kind of an advanced expression, so we'll just remove this part. We won't cover this right now, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't make a huge difference with or without 보긴. Let's continue from here. 봤는데. So this is a combination of 봤다 and 는데. And this means but. And I'll come back to it in a minute, but let's look at 봤다 first. So 봤다 is a past form of 보다. Do you remember what 보다 means? It means to see, or like to watch, or to look. It means all of that. The verbs that has to do with sight, it means all of that. And by putting this letter here, it became 봤다. And it's a past tense. So this means watched, right? Because it's the past form. And by connecting 는데 to 봤다, 다 gets removed, and the final form becomes 봤는데, and it means watched, but. And then the next sentence continues. So from here to here, it means I too, friends watched, but. I watched Friends too, but. And then comes the next sentence. 난 왜 못할까? So 난 looks familiar, and this actually means I as well, except that it's an abbreviated form of 나는. We all know what 나 is. It's I. And 는 is a subject marker, right? And 난 is an abbreviated form of 나는. So 난 and 나는 are interchangeable and are both grammatically correct. But I, 왜 means why. And 못할까, do you remember from my previous lyric lesson, Korean lyric lesson, how to say you can't do something, like you can't verb. When you want to say you can't verb, you can just put 못 before the verb. For example, 하다 means do. It has lots of other meanings, but we're going to come back to it. But the basic meaning of 하다 is do. And 못하다 means, as you can guess it, can't do, can't do. So here, 할까 comes from 하다, and it's combined with question sentence ending 리을 받침 까. So 다 is deleted and becomes 할까. So by putting 리을 받침 까 after the verb, you make it into a question. So by 왜, why here, you already know that this sentence is going to be a question, right? So that's why this verb ending is added to the verb 하다. So it became 할까. 난 왜 못할까? So this is can't do question, right? So I too want friends, but why can't do. So the natural translation of this sentence is, I watch Friends too, but how come I don't speak English? So he's wondering why he can't speak it. So here you might be wondering, does 하다 also mean speak? And yes, it does, but it's a bit tricky to explain, but let me try. When we say we speak like a certain language, like let's say we speak English, let's do I. Okay, when you say I speak English, we say 저는 영어를, 영어 means English, right? 영어를 해요. There are several other ways to say I speak English in Korean, but this is also one way by using 하다 verb. So when we say when we do English, it doesn't actually mean do, but it means to speak. So here in this sentence, Jin meant 할까 as in speak. So can't, not do, but speak. And you might be wondering, speak what? And that's where you know that the object is removed. It's completely removed. Not just the object marker, but the object itself is completely removed. And the object is obviously English, right? He can't speak English because before Jin said it, RM and James Corden were talking about how RM learned to speak English, right? So it's obvious from the context that listeners can guess what the object is. That's why he didn't say 난 왜 영어를 못할까? But just 난 왜 못할까? So this is really common, completely removing objects and subjects in a sentence, if it's obvious. But when you're practicing or writing in Korean as a beginner, I suggest that you practice with full sentence without like removing objects and subjects.
What about you, Jin?
Post Malone.
Post Malone. What was Post Malone like when you met him?
포스트 말론 만났는데 어땠어요? 포스트 말론 만났는데 어땠어요? 포스트 말론 만났는데 어땠어요?
So this is what RM, Namjoon, translated what James said. 포스트 말론 만났는데 어땠어요? So Post Malone is obviously a Korean pronunciation of Post Malone. And let's start from 만났는데. So you remember 는데, right? We just learned it. It means it's a verb conjugation that connects the sentence. So it kind of works as a conjunction. So it kind of functions as a conjunction in a sentence. And it meant but, right? But here in this sentence, it doesn't necessarily mean but here it means and. So it's kind of similar with the English word and. So when and connects one sentence with another, it sometimes has a meaning of, of cause and effect. And also sometimes the meanings that contradict each other. So 는데 can mean both but and depending on the context. But here it means and. And 만났는데, so here we can see another past verb. And generally you can know it's a past verb by 쌍시읒, 더블시읒, 받침. If it's added in a verb, and 99% of the time it means it's a past form. So 만났는데 is a combination of 만났다 and 는데. So 다 should be removed and 만났는데. So just in case you don't know, 만났 comes from 만나다. It's a base verb that means to meet. So 만났는데, so 만났다 means met, right? Because it's a past verb, and this is and. So 포스트 말론 만났는데. So this is another example of a sentence where the subject is removed. So subject should be we, right? Because they met Post Malone, right? 우리 means we, right? 우리 포스트 말론 만났는데, but RM removes the subject. 포스트 말론 만났는데, so 포스트 말론 is an object. So there should be 을 added if you want to make it into a completely grammatically correct sentence. Although removing it is also grammatically correct. So from here to here it means we met Post Malone, the object, right? We met Post Malone And 어땠어요? So this is also a past form. 어땠어요? 어땠어요 means how was it, because it's a past form. 어땠어요 comes from okay, it actually comes from 어떻다, which means how. But to explain how 어떻다 became 어땠어요, it's gonna take a very, very long time. So for what you can take away for now is 어때 is how is it. 어때, if it's a question, means how is it. 어때, and you can see that it's 반말 because there's no 요 or 씁니다 at the ending, right? 어때 means how is it. And where's the space? Okay, let's use this side of the paper. So let me write it again. 어때 means how is it, and it's 반말, right? And 어때, 어때요, if you put 요 at the end, this means the same thing, how is it? But it's a 존댓말, the formal form. 어때? 어때요? And if you want to make it into a past form, you can add 어때 시읒 받침 and So 어땠어요 means how was it? How was it? And obviously it's a 존댓말, right? If you want to make it into 반말, then you can just say 어땠어? How was it? 어땠어요? How was it? So we met Post Malone, and how was it? And there came Suga's hilarious answer.
담배를 너무 많이 피워. 담배를 너무 많이 피워.
So 담배 means cigarette. And there is an object marker, right? So Suga used object marker to let us know that cigarette is an object. But again, he removed the subject, which is also obvious. It's Post Malone because James Corden asked about how was it meeting Post Malone, right? So Post Malone is obviously the subject of the sentence. Post Malone, cigarette is an object. 너무 많이 펴. So verb is at the very end of the sentence, and these are the adverb. Adverbs are in most cases, it's grammatically correct to put adverb before the verb. Adverb before the verb, that's like the correct grammar of Korean. We do switch place sometimes when it's spoken Korean, but it's grammatically correct to put adverb before verb. Okay, so with that said, let's look into adverb more deeply. Okay, so 너무 means like something's, it means too, as in like very. It's usually negative, like if there's something too much of something, we use 너무. But also not always. Again, in spoken Korean, we do say 너무 좋아. We do say things like 너무 좋아, which means I like it very much. So it means a good thing. Like it's obvious that the speaker means this in a positive way, but it's actually grammatically incorrect because 너무 is supposed to be used when something is negatively too much. So 너무 means that, and 많이 means a lot. Well, you can also say much. So 많이 means a lot, much. So 너무 많이 means too much altogether. And 펴 is a present verb that comes from 피다, which is a verb that has a lot of meanings, one of which is to smoke. But 피다 itself doesn't mean smoke, but if you use it with 담배를 피다, if you use it with the object cigarette, then this verb means to smoke. So 담배를 피다 means to smoke a cigarette. So since 펴 is the present verb of 피다, it means smoke. So this means Post Malone, cigarette, too much, smoke. Post Malone smokes cigarette too much. Okay, so next line is also from Jin.
Okay, now we're cooking.
남자 나 하나 물어봐 주면 안 돼? 남자 나 하나 물어봐 주면 안 돼?
남준아, 나 하나만 물어봐 주면 안 돼? 남준아, 나 하나만 물어봐 주면 안 돼? Okay, so this is another line from Jin. So he starts by calling RM's real name, Namjun. Namjuna. So if you watch my name lesson, Korean name lesson, you already know that when you're calling someone by their names, you add a or ya. And which one to put is decided by whether there is 받침 at the end of the name or not. And Namjoon's name has 받침, 니은 받침, right? So that's why a is added instead of ya. So 남준아. If you want to call Yoongi, which is Hyuga's real name, you have to say Yoongi-ya because his name doesn't have 받침, right? So that's why it's Yoongi-ya. When you're calling Namjoon, it becomes 남준아. 나 하나만 물어봐 주면 안 돼? So I really love this sentence. It has many things to teach for you guys. So we know that na is me, right? I or me, right? But in this sentence, it doesn't function as a subject nor an object. It's just kind of like a filler word that we use to be polite. So first of all, this whole sentence can be translated as Namjoon, can you ask something for me? And da here serves as a meaning for, for me. When you're asking a favor to somebody, you say, can you do this for me? Like, can you clean this for me, right? It kind of serves that kind of meaning, although not like 100% identical to it, but it does have that polite nuance added to the sentence. 하나만 물어봐주면 안 돼. 하나. Do you remember from my name lesson that 하나 is a pure Korean number that means one? So here it means one, or to be more accurate, one thing would be more correct. So Namjoon, one thing, man. And man is a particle because it's added after the noun, and man means only. But in this sentence, he didn't put man to emphasize he's asking only one thing, but it's also kind of a filler word to be more polite. Like, I'm not asking you too much. Can you do this for me? It does kind of imply that. But man in itself means only. So for example, if you say 하나만 먹었어. And 먹었어 is a past verb of eat, right? So this means ate, and one only. And the subject is excluded, but let's say the subject is me. I ate only one thing. I ate only one thing. So that's how this particle is used usually, but here it kind of serves as a filler word. 남준아, 나 하나만 물어봐주면 안 돼. So this whole phrase is a verb, but let's start from 면 안 돼. So verb 면, stem verb, right? Stem verb 면 안 돼 means can you verb. So it's a request. So it's kind of like asking a favor or requesting someone to do something for him. So even though it's 반말, it's a polite way to ask a favor. So what is the verb? 물어봐 주다. 물어봐 주다. This is a long combination of verbs, so we're gonna need a separate paper. So 물어봐 주다 is the combination of the verb 물어보다 and also another verb 주다. So I'll explain it separately. So 물어보다 means to ask, like to inquire, and 주다, the basic meaning of 주다 is to give. But when 주다 is attached after a present verb, it means something else other than to give. It actually means to do someone kind of like a favor. So 물어봐 주다 means to ask something for someone else. So 물어봐 is the present tense of 물어보다, and 주다 is connected to this verb, and thereby it means to ask something for someone else. To ask something for someone else. So that's how you use the verb 주다 to mean to do someone a favor. So let's look at other examples for better understanding. So 먹어주다 is a combination of 먹다's present form, 먹다 means eat, right? And 주다, to do something for someone else. So this means to eat something for someone else. Good example would be when you're having a date with your boyfriend and you order something really spicy, for example, and you can't finish it. In this case, you can say to your boyfriend, 먹어줘. It means to eat it instead of me, like eat it for me, because you can't finish it, so you're kind of requesting your boyfriend, asking a favor of your boyfriend to finish your food. 먹어줘. So 먹어주다 means that, and same with 만나주다. So 만나 is the present verb of 만나다, which means to meet, right? And 주다 is like doing someone a favor. So it's like meeting for someone. So for example, when you're at home and you're really bored and you can text your friend, 나 만나줘. It means like, so it can be translated as please meet me, meet me for me because, I'm bored. So it's kind of like asking a favor. And 먹어주다, this verb itself means to eat for someone else and to meet for someone else. I hope you understood. So Jin said, 남준아, 나 하나만 물어봐 주면 안 돼. It means like, 남준, for me, one thing, ask for me, can you? Again, 물어봐 comes from, and it's a present form, 물어봐, and you put 주다, right? 주다, which means to do something for someone. So 남준아, can you ask something for me? So when 면 안 돼 is conjugated to 주다, this verb, 다 is removed and 면 안 돼 is directly attached to the sentence. And so the final form is 남준아, 나 하나만 물어봐 주면 안 돼. So for these two as well, when you want to add 면 안 돼, can you do something after the verb, you can say 먹어주다, can be changed to 먹어주, and 다 is removed. 먹어주면 안 돼. It's like, can you eat this for me? It's like, can you eat this for me? Can you meet me for me is 나 만나주, right? And 다 is removed and you just put 면 안 돼 directly after 주. 나 만나주면 안 돼. It means like, can you meet me for me? Okay, so putting 줘 and 주면 안 돼 after a present verb are two ways to ask a favor to someone, but this sounds a lot more polite than just 줘. And you can see that these are all 반말, right? And what if I want to change it into 존댓말? And you just simply put you, right? And this one as well, you just have to put you to make it into a 존댓말. Verb 줘요. 해줘요. Do it for me. 해주면 안 돼. Can you do it for me? So you can see that both of the sentences include the verb 주다, which means to, the basic meaning of it is to give, but here they're used as a meaning of to do someone a favor. And there's also another way to say it in 존댓말, which is 주세요. And we're going to learn about this at the very end of this lesson because there is a sentence that they said at the end of the video that has 주세요 in it. So moving on to the next scene.
We are cooking.
여기 혹시 7명 말고 8명 타면 어떻게 되는지 물어봐요.
Is this your way of asking me to join the band? Is that
이거 혹시 BTS 제8회 멤버 영입 제안이냐고.
Okay, so this is a line from Jin, and this is what RM translated for James, for what James Corden said. So we're not going to go over all the things here, but just a few of them. So the common element, the common vocabulary in both sentences is 혹시. So 혹시 means by any chance, or it can also mean if you are something or not. And there are two vocabularies that you might know if you've been following my lessons. So it's this one and this one. 7명, 8명. 7 is the pure Korean number for 7. And 8 is a pure Korean number for 8. And if you also remember, 명 is the measure word for how many people there are. So it means 7 people and 8 people. 7명, 8명. So he wanted RM to ask what would happen if there were 8 people in the van, not 7 people. And this is a hilarious and adorable line from James Corden, and it meant, is this an invitation? Is this an invitation for Corden to be the 8th member? Notice that RM used 8, which is another word for 8 in Korean, except that it's Sino-Korean number. So 8 in Sino-Korean is 8. It's read 8. And 8 is the pure Korean number, which means 8. So 8 and 8 means the same thing, but it's used in different situations. So when you're talking like how many people there are or how many things there are, you can use the pure Korean number. But in this case, 제8의 member, which means the 8th member, you use the Sino-Korean number. However, 제8의, this is not a common way to say ordinal number in Korean. It's more common to say number 번째. This means you put Korean, pure Korean number, and then add 번째, 여덟 번째. So this means 8th. And this 제8의, it's not very much used in a spoken sentence, but here RM is trying to make it sound official, like a joke. So that's why he used 제8의, but mostly in ordinary circumstances, it's more common to use pure Korean and then put 번째. Can you try to guess what it means? It's not a difficult sentence, right? So 정국이 is, as you guessed it, 정국. So 정국이 is 7번째. 7th. Member is a Konglish that means member. So 정국 is the 7th member. And let's try one more. So RM is 방탄소년단. Now you know that this is a Korean name for BTS, right? And if you remember what this particle meant, possessor, right? So RM is BTS's 첫 번째. So this means RM is BTS's first member. So 첫 번째 means first, and you might be confused because if you know all the pure Korean number and all the rules that applies when you put the measure word after the pure Korean number, because 1 in pure Korean is 하나, and when it's combined with measure word, 하나 becomes 한. So you may be thinking that isn't first supposed to be 한 번째? And that's a really good guess, but first is the only exception when saying the ordinal number. So when you want to say first, you shouldn't say 한 번째, but instead we use 번째. This is the only exception and the rest of the number works the same as we learned. So second would be 두 번째, right? Because two in pure Korean is 둘, but when a measure word is added, 둘 is removed, right? So it's 두 번째, and the rest of it are same. 세 번째, 네 번째. This pen doesn't seem to have enough ink, so I will change it to a new one. Not a new one, but a better one. Fifth. Okay, this is way better. 다섯. So starting from 5 to 9, it doesn't change its form when measure word is added, so you don't have to like exclude any of the letter or 받침. You just put 번째, and it's all good. 6 is 여섯 번째, and it goes on and on from there. You can say 스무 번째. So 스무 번째, because if you remember again, 스물, when it comes to 스물, added with measure word, 리을 is excluded, it's removed. So 스무 번째 is the right form. So this is not 서른 첫 번째. Only the first is the exception. Only when saying first we say 첫 번째, but for the rest of the number, it's just the regular number. So you can say 서른 한 번째, not 서른 첫 번째. And same applies to other numbers as well. When you want to say 52nd place, you can say 쉰두 번째. So that's how you say ordinal number.
Because I've got moves.
Yeah.
I've got moves.
춤도 출 수 있고, 춤도 출 수 있고, 춤도 출 수 있고, 춤도 출 수 있고.
So while RM was translating what Corden was saying, he said 춤도 출 수 있고. 춤 means dance, but it's a noun. It doesn't mean to dance, but it's just a dance as a noun. And 도 is a particle that means to, if you remember, like as well. So dance as well. 출 수 있고. 출 수 있고 comes from 출 수 있다, and it's combined with 고, which is a verb conjugation that means and. And 출 수 있다 means can dance. If you remember from my previous lyric lesson, you know that stem verb plus 을 or 리을 받침 수 있다 means can do or be able to do. So the stem verb is 추, because 출 comes from 추다, which means to dance. So this is a verb. So 춤 means dance as a noun, and 추다 means to dance as a verb. So when you're trying to mean dance as an English word dance, you have to say 춤을 추다. Not just 추다, but 춤을 추다. The stem verb is 추, so you have to put 추 here. And since it doesn't have 받침, you don't have to put 을 and choose 리을. So that's how it becomes 출 수 있다. 수 있다. And it means can dance. Can dance. Dance to. And so the reason why he ended the sentence with 고 is that since Corden is not finished with his sentence, right? So he's ready to translate the next thing that Corden is about to say. That's why he didn't end the sentence and put 고 and waited.
오케이 오디션 진행하자 지금.
It's every
오케이
week.
오디션 진행하자 지금.
It's every
오케이
week.
오디션 진행하자 지금.
So he says, okay, 오디션 진행하자 지금. So okay is it's a Konglish word for okay. 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 오디션 진행하자 지금. So audition it's a Konglish that means audition, and 진행하자 means let's do. So you can know that audition here is an object, so you can put 을 here if you want to put object marker, but it's removable as well. 오디션 진행하자. Let's do audition. And 지금 means now. So I'm going to come back to breaking it down, but first let's look at the big picture. This is actually a grammatically incorrect sentence because to be absolutely correct, it has to be, the word order has to be 오디션 지금 진행하자. Or you can also say 지금 오디션 진행하자. Because 지금 it's an adverb, right? So remember what I told you earlier in this lesson? So adverb cannot come after the verb. It has to come before the verb. So adverb should be placed in the front as much as possible. So in this case, you can also say 너무 많이 담배를 펴. You can move this adverb to the very front of the sentence, or you can just leave it like this and say 담배를 너무 많이 펴. The rule in Korean grammar is that adverb doesn't come after the verb. So you can see that this is actually a grammatically incorrect sentence. However, it doesn't really matter when it's spoken. A lot of native Koreans do this, and possibly J-Hope was trying to emphasize 지금. Now, so that's why he switched the word order, but it doesn't really affect the listener's understanding. But for the beginners, it's better to practice with correct word order, right? So the grammatically 100% grammatically correct way of saying this would be audition, 지금, now, let's do. Now, audition, let's do. And moving on to the verb, 진행하자. So it means let's do. 진행하다. 진행하다 means a lot of things. It can mean to continue or to hold like an event, or maybe like do like a big event. So audition is a big event, right? So that's why J-Hope paired audition with 진행하다 to mean do an audition. So audition을 진행하다 would mean do an audition. But if you conjugate a verb with this verb ending, 자, then it means let's verb. So if you put 자 after the stem verb, it means let's verb. So let's practice a bit more with the verbs that we already know. So we know 먹다. So we know what 먹다 means, and we also know what 만나다 means. And we also know what 춤을 추다 means, right? So it means to eat, meet, and this means to dance, right? And then how do you say let's eat, let's meet, and let's dance? You can say 먹자, 만나, 자, right? It's because you replace 다 with the sentence ending 자. And same with this. 춤을 추자. Let's dance. So I was actually planning to do 2 more, but that would take too much time. So I'll just skip these 2 and move on to the very last Korean phrase that BTS said in this clip.
And in Korean?
구독해주세요. 구독해주세요. 구독해주세요.
구독해주세요, which is very useful to know in the age of YouTube. 구독 itself means subscription. But when you say 구독하다, it becomes a verb that means to subscribe. So 구독해 is a present verb of 구독하다. So this means subscribe. And 주세요, you might think you are not really familiar with this, but you actually are, because it's related to what we learned earlier in this lesson. So we learned in the earlier part of this lesson that if 주다 is put after the verb, the present verb form, it means to do. it means to do the verb for somebody else, right? Like doing a favor for someone else. So for example, we learned that 먹어주다 means to eat something for someone else, and 만나주다 also means meet someone for someone else. But when 주다 becomes a present form, which is 줘, it becomes kind of a request and asking of a favor. For example, we also learned that when 먹어주다 is conjugated to 먹어줘, it becomes a favor asking sentence, which means please eat this for me, please eat this. And also when you say 만나줘, it also becomes a meaning of please meet me for me. So you're basically requesting someone to do you a favor by doing the verb. 주세요 also comes from 주다. So it's basically the same meaning with 줘, except that 주세요 is a lot more polite form of asking a favor, and it also is 존댓말, while this one is 반말, right? So let me explain this further. When you put 줘 after a verb, it means requesting, like asking someone to do the verb. And clearly you can see that this is 반말, right? Because there is no 요 or 씁니다 at the end. So if you want to make it a 존댓말, the formal form, you can always add 요 after 줘. But there's a better way of making a request or asking a favor in 존댓말, and it's 주세요. So it's a phrase that you would like to keep in mind. Both of these are 존댓말. However, this is a lot more polite and it's used more frequently. 해 is the present form of do, right? And when you put 주세요 after the verb 해, it becomes a meaning of please do it for me. Same with 먹어 주세요. It's a more polite way to say, please eat this for me. So 구독해 is the present verb of subscribe, and by putting 주세요 after a verb, you're asking for a favor. You're requesting the audience to subscribe to their channel. 구독해주세요. 구독해주세요. Please subscribe. Okay, so that would be enough for this lesson. I know this was quite a long lesson, but thank you so much for studying with me and following the lesson. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye bye.